Hello, boys and girls. So we are continuing with our third session now. So, firstly, in the last, I think there was a gap of almost 6 to 7 days. Unfortunately, I was not keeping well, and therefore there was a lag in between. So, my apologies for that. So now we'll just commence with the third session. So, as we discussed till the last in the last lecture as well, that what we are going to cover in this today's lecture would be more on the aspect of the apportionment and block credits. That's what we are going to discuss. Now, section 16 हमने already complete किया था. Of course, that subject to a couple of points that I've kept pending specifically ये बोल के कि वो हम लोग रिटर्न्स के साथ उसको बाद में कवर करने वाले हैं, right? So, basis that, let us try to cover this. Now, what do you mean by apportionment? You have heard this term earlier, sometimes in, I think, the chapter costing mein overheads, correct? In the chapter overheads of costing, you must have heard this term apportionment. So, apportionment means what? So, to allocate or divide the cost on some logical equitable basis, that is what we used to learn in costing. Correct? So, if we were talking about rent, then floor space area was the base of apportionment. अगर हम लोग इलेक्ट्रिसिटी बिल के बारे में बात करते हैं तो नंबर ऑफ लाइट पॉइंट्स के बेसिस पे वी यूज्ड टू apportion the cost. Now, exactly on those lines, under the GST law, when we are going to talk about the apportionment of input tax credit. So now, apportionment of input tax credit. So now, if there is a need to apportion the credit, iska matlab, there might be a business situation what the law is considering. Okay, the input tax credit may be required to be divided into some different portions. Now, what are the different portions? Maybe input tax credit required for taxable outward supplies. Maybe input tax credit required for exempted outward supplies. Maybe input tax credit required for zero rated outward supplies. So there might be a variety of outward supplies for which your raw materials, services, capital goods are going to be used. And therefore, in a business situation, if there is a scenario that you are having purchases of inputs and input services and capital goods, but your output may be taxable, exempt, zero rated, nil rated, non GST, anything. In all such cases, your input tax credit will not be completely allowed to you, but it will be allowed to you in that portion which is permissible as per the provisions. And therefore, how to determine the different quantums of the credit which are allowable, not allowable, on the basis of not the eligibility of credit. We are right now going to assume that जो भी हम लोग apportion कर रहे हैं ये सब eligible credit ही है. But उसमें भी how much portion will be permissible to be claimed, how much portion will be not permissible to be claimed, that means we'll have to write it off to the cost or anything. So on these lines we are going to discuss section 17 subsection 1, 2, 3 and 4 in this particular video. Along with that we'll also cover a few rules which we have for which we have discussed the provisions till now. So ऐसा दो हमारे ये particular lecture में sections रहेंगे. So 17 subsection 1 में क्या दिया है? So where the goods or services are used are used by a registered person, partly for effecting any business, partly for the purpose of any business and partly for any other purpose. So now what the law is saying, if the goods or services are used partly for purpose of business and partly for other purposes. Now, firstly, we are saying that there are goods or services which you are buying, out of which you are using partly for the purpose of business and partly for other purposes. Now, other purposes in itself means that it is not used in the course of furtherance of business. So, one may say that फिर क्या हो सकता है उसमें? Of course, we are going to discuss an illustration. The amount of credit shall be restricted to so much of the input tax credit as is attributable to the purpose of his business. So now very clearly what the law is trying to tell you, try to understand this. So law में क्या अभी बोल रहे हैं हमको that you have some common goods, okay, you have common goods and you have common some services which you have purchased. Now all these are purchased for your business, but section 17 subsection 1 17 सबसेक्शन 1 क्या बोलते हैं आपको? Input tax credit will be apportioned and permissibly allowed only to the extent it is used for the purpose of business. Only to the extent it is used for business purpose. So as long as the goods and services are used for the purpose of business, इसका input tax credit हमको eligible allowed रहेगा. Not eligible, I'll use the word allowed. Now when I'm going, why I'm very particular about using this word eligible or not, because ineligible credit is a specific terminology where we are going to talk about the blocked credits. इसीलिए eligible ineligible नहीं, अभी मैं बात कर रहा हूँ ये eligible goods and services ही है जिसका credit normal circumstances में मिला रहता. But if it is used partly for the purpose of business and partly for other than business purpose, then the input tax credit will be limited to so much of the goods and services which are used for the purpose of business. So now let us try to take a example. So that in itself means what? That if it is used for the purpose, other than business, then the input tax credit will not be allowed. So now let us try to understand with the illustration. Okay, take example. Suppose let's here is my text box. Boom. Okay. So now let us say that Mr. Abhinay is a owner of a toy shop. Mr. Abhinay is a owner of toy shop. Now, इनका टॉय शॉप है तो ऑब्वियसली सेल ऑफ टॉयज is very much his purpose of business. Sale of toys is going to be very much the purpose of business. Now we are assuming a point particularly कि इनके केस में ओके इनके केस में हम लोग ऐसा अज्यूम कर रहे हैं दैट so out of his shop, now let's say that he has purchased 500 units of क्या था Doraemon. He has purchased 500 units of Doraemon toys. Now we are going to also write a few accounting entries. Now I am telling I am very much particular about writing accounting entries in order to understand the impact of this input tax credit. So let's say that Abhinay had initially purchased 500 units of Doraemon toys. Let's say that the units were purchased for rupees say 50,000 at a GST of 18% and मैं interstate purchase assume कर रहा हूँ 18% IGST लगा के ये goods इनके पास आए हैं. Now what would be the first entry Abhinay must have passed in the books? So the entry will be purchases account debit 50,000, input GST account debit. Now when I say input GST account debit, that means it is a tax paid on purchases. If you remember that day I told you हम लोग को input tax credit को prepaid asset की तरह treat करना है. So input GST account debit 18/90 मतलब 9,000 rupees to suppliers account. So how much amount you are going to put to suppliers account? Of course 59,000. Now this is the entry he passed when he had purchased those goods. Okay, ये पहला purchase का entry उन्होंने pass किया. Now what happened that from his business, from his shop rather, ऐसा हो गया that out of the 500 units, 490 units were sold in the open market. 490 units were sold. And 10 units, matlab 10 units of Doraemon toys, he has gifted to his family members. So अभी क्या हुआ है? He has used 490 for the purpose of business, and he has used 10 units, or rather gifted 10 units to his family members. ठीक है? Now in the beginning we saw that इन्होंने input tax credit record कर लिया था, because when he purchased the stock he was not aware that if he is going to use this for the purpose of gifting. बट आफ्टर द एक्चुअल, मतलब जब बिजनेस सिनेरियो में एक्चुअली ऐसा हुआ कि उन्होंने इनपुट टैक्स क्रेडिट में, अभी सॉरी 500 टॉयज में से 10 यूनिट्स जो है वो गिफ्ट कर दिए अपने फैमिली मेंबर्स. नाउ व्हाट डज द प्रोविजन टेल यू ओवर हियर? Where goods or services are used by a registered person partly for the purpose of business and partly for any other purpose, the amount of credit shall be restricted to so much of the input tax as is attributable for the purpose of business. So here what the law is trying to tell you, that since the goods were not used completely for the purpose of business, the amount of input tax credit will have to be restricted. Now when you say restricted, इसका मतलब क्या है? That as of now you already have recorded the input tax credit, or you have claimed the input tax credit on 500 units entirely, but now it is going to be restricted to be only on 490 units. मतलब आपका 10 यूनिट्स ऑफ टॉयज जो आपने गिफ्ट कर दिया उसके ऊपर का इनपुट टैक्स क्रेडिट आपको नहीं मिलने वाला है, और यू विल हैव टू गिव अवे दैट इनपुट टैक्स क्रेडिट. सो आफ्टर दोस 10 units were disposed of as a gift, he has not used them for the purpose of business, he has used for personal purpose, or you can call it any purpose, not business purpose. So here he will have to limit his input tax credit. So मुझे अभी क्या करना पड़ेगा? I'll have to write off the input tax credit on how many units? I'll have to write off the ITC on 10 units. I'll have to write off the input tax credit on 10 units. So I'll pass an entry in the books of accounts. Profit and loss account debit 900 rupees. 900 कैसे आ गए? 9000 was my total ITC. So 5 1 the 5 8 the 40. So it is 18 rupees per unit. So it is 900. So 18 into 10. 18 into 10. That is 180 rupees. Correct na? Yeah. 180 rupees to input GST account. Input GST account 180 rupees. Now what has happened over here? See, initially I was entitled for an input tax credit of 9000 rupees, which was on total all those 900 units, 500 units that I had purchased. But after that क्या हो गया है? That मेरा input tax credit I'll have to restrict it to, I will have to restrict my input tax credit to only 490 units. So I have to ensure that मैं 8882 8820 रुपीज से ज़्यादा इनपुट टैक्स क्रेडिट नहीं ले सकता हूँ. So I have to pass a reversal entry once this transaction has happened. So now the input tax credit has to be restricted to only those many units. So अभी क्या हुआ? मैं अगर मेरा input GST account यहाँ पे ड्रॉ करता हूँ, if I draw my input GST account here, so when I purchase the goods, when I purchase those 500 units, I had said कि to suppliers account मेरा इधर 9000 डेबिट था. Ideally I could have used this amount to pay the output tax, but now I cannot use the entire 9000 rupees, because यहाँ पे क्या आ गया? By profit and loss account 180 rupees I have to not use it, I have to write it off. Therefore by balance carried down 8820 ऐसा करके मेरा टोटल इनपुट टैक्स क्रेडिट जो है ये 9,000 रुपीज, मतलब टोटल इनपुट टैक्स क्रेडिट विल नाउ बी रिमेनिंग ओनली 8820. Sorry for this very habilitative writing, but I hope the point is clear. So the law says what? Where goods or services are both used for partly for the purpose of business and partly for any other purpose, the amount of credit shall be restricted to so much of the input tax as is attributable to the purpose of his business. Clear? Okay. Now let's see the next one. 17 subsection 2. Where the goods or services or both are used by a registered person. Now see, this is something very critical. This particular provision is the one which creates the maximum issues, I'll tell you, in the business also. Write off of the input tax credit for exempted supplies. And even practically ये बहुत सारा ऐसा होता है कि हम लोग को ये प्रोविजन यूज करना पड़ता है. Okay, so I'll tell you now what this is all about. So where goods or services are used, where the goods or services are both are used for by the registered person, partly for effecting taxable supplies including zero rated supplies, partly under this act or under the IGST act, and partly for effecting exempted supplies under this act, the amount of credit shall be restricted to so much of input tax as is attributable to the said taxable supplies including zero rated supplies. Where the goods or services or both are used by a registered person partly for effecting two types of supplies. Which one? Affecting taxable supplies including zero rated supplies, and partly for effecting exempted supplies. So how this provision is trying to divide it into two parts, and ये कौन से two parts है देखते हैं जरा. Okay, so what the law is saying, where the goods or services or both are used, now I am going to divide it into two broad categories. One is taxable supplies including zero rated supplies. Taxable supplies including zero rated supplies, and partly for effecting exempted supplies. So where the goods or services are used partly for effecting taxable supplies including zero rated supplies. Now taxable, so you know that something what is having a rate of tax applicable to it. Zero rated supplies, now zero rated supplies, right now I'll keep it a limited discussion. Zero rated supply includes two things. One is supply by way of export, and second, supply by way of SEZ supply to a SEZ unit or a SEZ developer. So now what the law is saying, if the goods or services are used partly for effecting taxable supplies including zero rated supplies, and partly for effecting exempted supplies, input tax credit shall be restricted to so much of the input and input services which are used for effecting the taxable supplies including zero rated supplies. मतलब इतने proportion में जो use होगा उसका मेरे को ITC एलिजिबल होगा, इतने proportion के लिए होगा मुझे इसका ITC ineligible होगा, I mean not allowed होगा, non permissible होगा. So I am just correcting that ineligible word. मैं ineligible नहीं बोलना चाहता हूँ. Here the input tax credit is eligible, here the input tax credit is not eligible. Now let us try to understand this, because there is a entire rule 42, rule 43 which is going to be dependent on this entire provision. Now at the CA intermediate level, really the rule 42, 43 is not a part of your syllabus per se. Only this provision understanding is relevant and important for. So what I'm going to tell you is only the, like we took an illustration earlier, अभी भी हम लोग एक illustration के through ही इसको समझते हैं. Okay. So let's try to understand a scenario. सो आई ऑलरेडी हैव दिस इलस्ट्रेशन प्रिपेयर्ड, हम लोग उसी को रेफर करते हैं. Okay. Now see. First of all, the basic point that we need to discuss here is in business. In business, there are this particular rule also assumes. So there are three things that we are going to keep it in mind. In every business situation, firstly, we have to take into consideration that there can be input goods and input services. There can be input goods and input services which are used. अभी इसका हम लोग तीन इसमें बाइफर्केशन करते हैं. इनपुट गुड्स एंड इनपुट सर्विसेज ये डायरेक्टली यूज हो सकते हैं ओनली फॉर टैक्सेबल आउटवर्ड सप्लाई, या ये यूज हो सकते हैं ओनली फॉर एग्जम्प्टेड आउटवर्ड सप्लाई, या ये यूज हो सकता है कॉमनली फॉर टैक्सेबल प्लस जीरो रेटेड एंड एग्जम्प्टेड सप्लाई. So friends, please try to understand section 17 subsection 2 जो है, section 17 subsection 2 deals with only this situation. Section 17 subsection 2 is talking only about a scenario where input goods or services which are common input goods or services, इसको बोलते हैं common input goods or services which are used in a scenario which is for partly for taxable plus zero rated supply and partly for exempted supplies. Right? In this case, what does the law say? In this case, there has to be a bifurcation of input tax credit. इसका मतलब क्या है? A very important takeaway what I want you to focus now on is, if I am using goods or services only for taxable outward supplies, I am using goods or services only for taxable outward supplies. So इसका implication क्या हो जाएगा? Input tax credit on such goods or services is completely allowed. Input tax credit for such goods and services will be completely allowed. इसके लिए कोई फॉर्मूला का जरूरत नहीं है, कोई सेक्शन प्रोविजंस का जरूरत नहीं है. Now, if input goods or services are used exclusively for exempted outward supplies, if it is used for exclusively for exempted outward supplies, ITC is completely disallowed. ITC is completely disallowed. So अगर goods and services मेरे business में यूज हो रहे हैं यहाँ पे, तो it is completely allowed. If goods or services are used exclusively for exempted outward supply, then it is completely disallowed. And section 17 subsection 2 सिर्फ कब यूजफुल है? Only when the goods or services are used for both taxable plus zero rated supply as well as exempted supplies, only then 17.2 is going to be applicable. Okay, so this section is very very particularly to be made applicable. So not entire business के goods and services पे ये फेयर देना है common credit, नहीं. अगर आपके goods and services commonly use हो रहे हैं, only then we are going to use this section 17 subsection 2 read along with the rule 42 and 43. Clear? Now, यहाँ पे देखते हैं. So, SARS Limited is engaged in manufacture of 5 different types of goods. The goods are manufactured at a common manufacturing facility. The annual rent at the manufacturing facility is rupees 24 lakhs. The CGST SGST levied is at 18% and it is rupees 4,32,000. The turnover of SARS Limited for the year was 15 crore rupees. Out of the total turnover, exempted supplies is 1 crore. As per Rule 42 of the CGST rule, the input tax credit in respect of rent will be liable for reversal to the extent of common services consumed. So, अगर आपको अभी प्रोविजन का एकदम बेस समझ गया, so 17 subsection 2 एक तो कब अप्लाई करना है, only if it is common goods or services which is used for making both taxable as well as exempted supplies, right? So now यहाँ पे we know that okay the total turnover is 15 crores, exempted supplies is 1 crores and your common credit amount is 4,32,000. So by applying of course a simple ratio over here, if you can see simple formula, that what is the portion of my exempted turnover upon total turnover multiplied by the net input tax credit. So यहाँ पे हम लोग because we are taking only a common input tax credit of only one category, so net ITC is 4,32,000. सो सेक्शन 17 सबसेक्शन 2 के हिसाब से मैं अगर देखने जाऊं तो क्या हो गया, मेरे पास जो 4,32,000 का इनपुट टैक्स क्रेडिट था, 4,32,000 का इनपुट टैक्स क्रेडिट था, इसमें से मुझे कितना इनपुट टैक्स क्रेडिट अलाउ किया जाएगा, ओनली इनपुट टैक्स क्रेडिट ऑफ 4,32,000 माइनस दिस 28,800. अभी 28,800 कैसे आ गया, तो द पोर्शन ऑफ एग्जम्प्टेड सप्लाईज टू टोटल सप्लाईज मैंने जो है वो हटा दिया ऑफ 4,32,000. सो 4,32,000 में से द परमिसिबल क्रेडिट टू मी इज ओनली रुपीज 4,32,000 में से द परमिसिबल क्रेडिट इज ओनली 432 माइनस 28,800. सो वो आता है 4,03,200. दिस विल बी अलाउड एंड 28,800 इतना इनपुट टैक्स क्रेडिट मुझे डिसअलाउ करना पड़ेगा. फेयर. सो आई होप दैट दिस सेक्शन 17 सबसेक्शन 2 इज ऑल्सो वेरी क्लियर. सो हमने यहाँ पे वापस रिपीट एक ही चीज कर रहा हूँ, दैट ओनली कॉमन इनपुट टैक्स क्रेडिट के बारे में बात आता है तो ही सेक्शन 17 सबसेक्शन 2 हैज टू बी मेड एप्लीकेबल. इट इज अदरवाइज नॉट इन जनरल एप्लीकेबल इन ऑल केसेस. So if your goods are used exclusively for effecting taxable supplies, there is no need of any reversal of input tax credit. If your goods or services are used exclusively for exempted supplies, you will not get any input tax credit. Only if your goods and services are used commonly for taxable as well as exempt supplies, only then 17 subsection 2 will be made applicable. Okay. Now the third section 17 subsection 3 is very much related to 17.2 only. क्या बोलते हैं, the value of exempted supplies under subsection 2 shall be such as may be prescribed and shall include supplies on which the recipient is liable to pay tax under reverse charge basis, transaction in securities, sale of land subject to clause B of paragraph 5 of schedule 2 and sale of building. In a nutshell, since हम आपको rule 42 का कैलकुलेशन नहीं है, मैं 17.3 में ज़्यादा डेप्थ में नहीं जा रहा हूँ. They have only tried to cover or convey by this provision that when you say exempt supply, what all that exempt supply is going to include. It will include that quantum of supply on which you don't pay the GST because your outward GST is liable to be taxed in the hands of the recipient by way of a RCM. तो वो turnover आपका exempt turnover में आएगा. And also the turnover of securities, उसमें भी rule है which says that 1% of your transaction in securities has to be taken. Sale of land, sale of building, which are the sale of immovable properties. All this will form a part of your common credit reversal का जो exempt turnover का calculation है, it will be there. Right? Now the last section of this apportionment of input tax credit. A banking company or a financial institution, including a non-banking financial company, 17 subsection 4 में, engaged in the supply of services by way of accepting deposit, extending loans or advances, shall have the option to either comply with the provisions of subsection 2 or avail an amount equal to 50% of the eligible input tax credit on goods or services for that month, and the rest shall lapse. Now what they are saying, this provision is first of all applicable to whom? Very specifically, this provision of section 17 subsection 4, the provision of section 17 subsection 4. Just a minute. So provision of section 17 subsection 4. This applies only to banks, NBFC. Now what this provision says, that in case of banking company and the NBFC, they have a right, or they have a choice, rather I should say they have a choice to either take input tax credit in full, less reverse the ITC, used for exempted supplies. अब बैंक में ऐसा क्या होता है, तो सी बैंक का प्रिंसिपल बिजनेस इज एक्सेप्टिंग डिपॉजिट एंड लेंडिंग लोन्स. नाउ बैंक्स जब लोन्स देते हैं, दे आर कलेक्टिंग इंटरेस्ट फ्रॉम द कस्टमर्स, बट दैट इज एन एग्जम्प्टेड सप्लाई. एक्सेप्टिंग डिपॉजिट तो सर्विस, डिपॉजिट देने का सर्विस तो अकाउंट होल्डर का है. सो एनीवेज दैट इज एग्जाम, आई मीन इट इज एग्जम्प्टेड, एंड प्लस बैंक का उसके ऊपर कोई बेयरिंग नहीं है. So the principal activity of lending loans is anyways exempted, the interest on that is exempted. But the other agency service that the bank provides, that standing instruction, आपके behalf पे bills पे करना, check आपके behalf पे कोई payments कर देना, then any standing instruction to be obeyed, your light bill, telephone bill, etc. Banks does so much of activities which are other than banking. So it may be like collecting the checkbook issue charges, debit card issue charges, credit card issue charges, something like that. So for those taxable business of the bank, they do charge you GST. So what this 17 subsection 4 is telling you, that either आप credit लेके you calculate the actual exempt turnover portion, and then you effectively can claim input tax credit only to the extent of those which are used for making taxable outward supplies. Means आप input tax credit actual basis पे quantum में calculation करो and you determine it. Or they have given you an option in 17 subsection 4. क्या बोला है, whatever is the quantum of eligible ITC, जितना भी आपका full eligible ITC है, you do one thing, you claim 50% of this amount as an input tax credit, and 50% of input tax credit shall lapse का मतलब है you have to simply write off to cost. So this portion of ITC will be permanently denied. So banks have been given a choice, NBFCs have been given a choice that either आप claim करके उतना reverse करो जितना आपका exempt turnover है, या फिर you claim 50% and let the balance 50% lapse. There is no need to. Fair? So friends, section 17 subsection 1, 2, 3 and 4 are what we discussed just now. Section 17 subsection 1 में I'm just giving you a recap. 17 subsection 1 में we said where the goods or services are used partly for the purpose of business and partly for other purpose, उसमें हमने लिया वो toy shop का example. 17.2 में if the goods or services are used for making taxable supplies including zero rated supplies, so that quantum of turnover which is used for taxable outward supplies, exports and SEZ supplies, उसके ऊपर का input tax credit eligible है. Exempted supplies के ऊपर का input tax credit eligible नहीं है. 17.3 was only telling you when you say exempted supplies what does it cover, correct? 17.4 में banks and NBFCs have been given a choice to either claim 50% credit and let the 50% lapse, or the option is you actually calculate how much is your taxable portion of turnover and 17.2 के हिसाब से आप actual exempt turnover पे reversal कर दो input tax credit के बारे में. But what is slightly different is 17.2 when I said it is about common input tax credit, common credit reversal. So banks ने भी अगर समझो ऐसा किया कि taxable का अलग से गिना, exempt का अलग से गिना, common credit alag se gina. So they are going to go by the conventional way as per every other business goes. It is only given a choice as a bank and an NBFC to claim 50%, let go the 50%, no much issues. But maximum banks and NBFCs definitely opt for this option 50% because it is very easy for them to go for that. Okay, so as I told you the last time, there are a few CGST rules में जो input tax credit related rules है, जो पोर्शन हमने ऑलरेडी इनपुट टैक्स क्रेडिट का सेक्शन 16 का पढ़ा है, उसके रेलेवेंट जितने रूल्स हैं हम लोग सिर्फ उतना देखने वाले अभी. So these ITC rules over here. Now the documentary requirement for claiming credit. If you remember, I told you that okay, that day I showed you a T bill, एकदम simple cash memo था, उसके ऊपर कोई input tax credit नहीं मिलेगा. So that invoice should contain all those goods or all those contents, the GSTN of the supplier, address of the supplier, date of invoice, invoice value, rate of tax, recipient's GSTN, recipient's name, recipient's address, place of supply. All these things should be there in the invoice only when it will be considered as an eligible document. That is what the rule tells you. Rule 36 tells you documentary requirements for conditional for claiming of input tax credit. So likewise, an invoice, a debit note, or even a bill of entry, it will need those specifications to be there on the document. Okay. Now, input tax credit shall be availed by a registered person only if it is applicable. Particulars as specified are there. So, like I already told you, no input tax credit shall be availed by a registered person in respect of any tax that has been paid in pursuance of any order or demand and has been confirmed on account of any fraud, willful misstatement. सो वो लोग क्या बोलते हैं कि अगर आपका सपोज ऐसा हुआ है, किसी सप्लायर ने आपको गुड्स एंड सर्विसेज बेचा, ही डिड नॉट चार्ज यू एनी जीएसटी. नाउ there was a GST inquiry with him, or there was let's say a notice issued to him, जिसके बाद उसने बोला कि ओके ओके अभी मैं जीएसटी भर देता हूँ, so let my customer also claim the input tax credit. The answer is no. If you have, I mean, if the invoice, if the tax has been paid as a part of recovery of tax proceedings under the law, देन उस टैक्स का कभी भी आगे इनपुट टैक्स क्रेडिट पास ऑन नहीं हो सकेगा. इट विल नॉट बी कंसिडर्ड गुड इन द आइज ऑफ लॉ. ओके, नाउ we talked about that non-payment of consideration within 180 days. So about that, this rule 37 is there. But like I said, that 180 days का provisions में इतना ही है that if the goods are, I mean, the payment is not made back to the vendor within 180 days. So we will be taking an illustration. So I'm skipping that rule for the while, so that when we cover the illustration for that, we are going to discuss the same thing about reversal and availment. There are certain points in that, so that's why I wanted you to first go through those provisions when we'll go, and then maybe in the coming lecture only, and then we'll come back to this section. Okay, so as of now, the provision that we have covered is section 16 and section 17, and 16 के अंदर दो points जो है वो सिर्फ बाजू में छोड़ा है, proviso to section 16 and 16 subsection 3 to, I mean 4. These are the two things that we have kept aside. So friends, with this we would end our this session for the day. Kindly revise, go through the questions from ICAI study material also. If you have any question, please feel free to ping me on my email ID. I have already given you my email ID. Okay, and also my contact details in my YouTube channel. I also will post it over here for your ease. Do let me know. You can also connect with me on Instagram or any social media handles if you have any doubts. Okay, so you can refer this. So thank you so much. We'll continue in the next lecture. It will be on input tax credit only with some illustrations, more rules, and then we'll also start with the blocked credits. So hope you find this useful. Thank you so much for being there. Take care. Jai Hind. Bye bye.